Hi and hello to all. This side Priya Rana, and today I'm going to discuss about Competition Act 2002. So talking about the introduction, in the introduction this act was extended to all India except Jammu and Kashmir, and the government of India introduced the bill in 2001, and the bill was passed in December 2002, and the president of India gave his assent to this bill on 2003, and the Competition Commission of India CCI is the advocacy for the Competition Act 2002. This means that it advocates on the features of Competition Act. Earlier, before Competition Act, we had the monopolies and restrictive trade practices which came into existence in 1969. So before Competition Act, we have Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act. This was replaced by Competition Act. Now, what is competition? See, a competition, it is a situation in which the firms or sellers they strive for the buyer's patronage. Patronage means financial support in order to achieve a particular business objective. So we can say that a competition is anything where sellers they try to take financial support from the buyers so that they can maximize their profits and they can increase their market share as well. We have these type of competition. Number one is price competition, number two is non price competition. See, price competition is when the marketers develop price strategies to beat the competition. How he does it? He just lower the prices. After lowering the prices, he just wins his customer. So this is price competition, when he is lowering his prices. Second is non-price competition. Non-price competition means when the marketer focus on the factors of the product to increase the sale of the product. What are the factors? So he tries to make many advertisements of the product. He tries to offer after sales services using his sales promotion tools, etc. So when his product get different from the other products, and the product has variation from the other products, and that is how he is making competition. This is non price competition. Now we have ways of competition. We have fair competition. Fair competition means when you are producing quality goods, becoming cost effective, optimizing the use of resources, best technology you're making proper research and development on the product. So this is fair competition. What is unfair competition is when you are fixing the price of the product with the rivals, predatory prices, disparaging or misleading advertisements. See, disparaging means to criticize something, and predatory pricing, it means that what happen is it involves charging lower prices. So in the beginning, see, I'm talking about this right now, predatory pricing. Predatory pricing means what happen is in which when you have many competitors, what you do is you just lower the price of your product from the competitors. When the competitors get finished from the market, immediately you raise the price. So by this is you call it an unfair competition. So in words, if I say that it involves charging lower prices to get rid of competition. When the competition left the marketer or the person who is a predator, who is in this kind of a search, he pushes the prices back up. These are the objectives of Competition Act 2002. So this act tries to eliminate the adverse effect of the competition, and it tries to promote and sustain competition. It protects the interest of the customers. It ensures freedom of trade carried on by other participants in the market. So it tries to create awareness in public and inculcates training or major issues in competition as well. In Competition Act, what practices are being stopped? So number one is price fixing. This practice is when your two or more supplier fixes the same price for supply of good and services. This is the restrictive practice. So what happen is two or more suppliers, they are fixing the price. This is price fixing. Next is bid rigging. Bid rigging, it is a form of price fixing where contracts are determined by the call of bids. Okay, we are taking the bids, and the two or more suppliers exchange their like sensitive information of bid. Then what happen is collectively they just take the contract. For example, if I say government construction contracts, what happen is there are two or more suppliers, they share their sensitive information and just try to take the contract in such a manner so that they the bid in the bid in the bid the condition, if there's a bid kind of a condition, they just share their information and collectively they just try to take the contract. So this is a restrictive trade practice. Third is resale price fixation. Resale price fixation means when a producer sell the goods to the distributor, when the producer is selling the goods to the distributor, he will not sell it to any other price which is not fixed by the producer. The producer, he fixes the price for the distributor. This is the resale price fixation, where the distributor does not allow where the producer does not allow the distributor to make his price, so he fixes the price by himself. Next is exclusive dealings. In exclusive dealings, what happen is if a distributor purchases the goods on the condition that supplier will not supply it to any other distributor. So this is when exclusive dealing, where seller will sell most of its product to single buyer or to single distributor. This is exclusive dealing. Talking about the features of Competition Act 2002, number 1 is anti-competition practice. See, in anti-competitive practice or anti-competitive agreements, what happen is section 3 subsection 3 states that certain agreements shall be deemed to be anti-competitive. These are the anti-competitive agreements which are deemed to be anti-competitive. These are the agreements or certain practices carried or decision taking including cartels engaged in identical or similar trade of goods and services. So first of all, what is cartels? Cartels is an organization between a group of producers of goods or services who regulate the supply of the product. For example, oil petroleum exporting companies. So this is an example of cartel. What does they do? They just directly or indirectly determine purchase or sell prices. These cartels are the group of organization, so they directly or indirectly determine the purchase and sale of prices. They limit the control, like they limit or control the production or supply of the product. They share the market or source of production, like or provision of service by way of allocating. For example, they are just making sure that to certain geographical areas they are going to supply the products, so they are differentiating in the geographical areas. Next is directly or indirectly resulting in bid rigging or collusive bidding. These both are same terms. So if the cartels or any kind of practice is directly or indirectly resulting in bid rigging, so it is also anti-competitive agreements. So these are the agreements which are not deemed to be anti-competitive, like any joint venture or an agreement. If such agreement increases the efficiency in production, supplies, distribution, storage, acquisition or control of goods, provision of services, if these are increasing the efficiency in production, so these are not deemed to be a anti-competitive. B point is when the right of a person to restrain or infringement of or to impose reasonable restrictions which are necessary for the protection of right. If there is any right of the person which are necessary for the protection of that right, it is not deemed to be anti-competitive. Next is the right of any person to export goods from India to extent to which the agreements relate to exclusively to the production, supply, distribution, control of goods or provision of service for each support. If there is any right of any person to export goods from India, okay, to the extent to which the agreements exclusively or matlab it relates to the production, supply, distribution, such kind of things, if it is an export, such agreements are not deemed to be anti-competitive unless they are unethical or they are not harming the interest of other producers or buyers. Next point is abuse of dominant position. See, in section 4, it defines in section 4 a dominant position is the position of like strengthened position of a person in a market enjoyed by a particular company or a particular segment of a marketer. What are deemed to be abusive in dominant position? Like for example, if I say, like, these are the matters in which enterprise or a group are deemed to be like it is deemed to be abusive of dominant position, like directly or indirectly the dominant company is imposing unfair or discriminatory trade practices and the conditions in purchase or sale of goods. It is applying the conditions on purchasing or sale of goods and the price in purchase and sale of goods, like in predatory prices. As I've already told you, predatory prices are when the monopoly or the company in, who what does it do, it lowers its prices in the market, and when the marketer or the other competitor, they just collapse in the market, they just raise the prices. Such kind of practices are abused to dominant position as well. Next is regulation of combination. Section 5 and section 6. It defines that combinations between two or more enterprises or firms, or it can be an acquisitions or merger also. So in combination, what we understand is these combination are related to mergers and acquisitions basically. Now, what are the type of combinations? These are the type of combination. Number one is horizontal. In horizontal combination, what happen is we have a merging of enterprises with identical level of production, or process with substitute goods. So in horizontal combination, we can say that we are merging into an enterprise who are giving us a substitute goods. So this is a big firm who is manufacturing the complete product, and it is just taking away the firm who produces the substitute goods. Next is non-horizontal combination. It has two parts, that is vertical and conglomerate combination. That number one is vertical combination. Vertical combination is combining of business firm engaged in different phases of manufacture and distribution of a product into interacting whole. This means that you are combining a business, this is a business, and you are combining it with the distributors or to the other person who are interacting with the customers. So you are combining it with the person who are distributing your product, or who are in direct who can directly sell your product to the customers. You are merging and acquisition, you are merging and doing acquisition with such kind of businesses. Conglomerate combinations. So these are the firms or enterprise in which unrelated business fields are being combined. Next is section 6 provides that no person or enterprise shall enter into a combination which cause or likely to cause adverse effect to the competition. Okay. Section 6 relate to the regulation of the combination and effect thereof. Any person or enterprise who or which possesses to enter into a combination shall give notice to the prescribed form together with the prescribed fees to the commission That means that if you want to do any combination, you have to give a fees to the commission disclosing the details of your combination and the proposed combination you are going to do within 30 days. Okay, the approval of the proposal relating to the merger or the amalgamation by the board of directors. The approval was given by the board of directors. Okay. Next is the execution of any agreement or other document for acquisition or for acquiring control over the enterprise. That it says that the execution of the agreement, it just rely like no combination shall come into effect until 210 days have passed from the day on which the notice has been given to the commissioner. That means after your proposing of combination to the board, you need to relax for 210 days, because firstly within 30 days you have to propose it, then it will come into effect after 210 days when it is being passed to the commissioner. Now recently there is a change in Competition Act 1986. Now we have Consumer Protection Act 2019, which stated some provisions, and which are in our Consumer Protection Act 1986 we don't have a separate regulator, but now we have a separate regulator of consumer protection, that is Central Consumer Protection Authority. Next is complaint could be filed in a consumer court where the seller or the defendant office is located, but here complaint can be filed in consumer court where the complainant resides or works. Now product liability, no provision. Earlier we don't have any provision, but now the consumer can see compensation for the harm caused to the product or the service. Petitionary jurisdiction. Petitionary means related to money, and the product, if the product for which you are filing the case, if that is up to 20 lakh, and at state level it was like 20 lakh to 1 crore, at national level it was above 1 crore. This was the previous one, and now we have the district level, like up to 1 crore, like the damages if to up to 1 crore at state level, if it is from 1 crore to 10 crore, at national level if it is above 10 crore. Now earlier we don't have any provision for e-commerce, but now we have a provision and direct selling rules which are extended to e-commerce. Now earlier we don't have any mediation cells. Mediation means the type of negotiations between the producer or the consumer, the negotiation cells, but now court can refer settlement through mediation also. This is the last slide, which says the difference between MRTP Act and the Competition Act. Before Competition Act, we have MRTP Act. So MRTP Act, what are the things which was not included in MRTP Act, and that's why Competition Act has took place. The competition concept not expressively defined in MRTP, but here it was expressively defined. There was no regulation of combinations, but here are the provisions of regulation of combination. There was no advocacy rules earlier, but Competition Act provides you the advocacy rule. No power to impose penalty, but here we have a power to impose the penalty. Earlier we don't have any provision for statutory authorities to seek opinion, but now we have CCI opinion. Government department outside its ambit, but here government department was inside the ambit. Unfair trade practices were omitted, but here the unfair trade practices, they got covered. Rule of law approach, that means that the particular things which have been stated in MRTP Act, it just focuses on that points only, but here the reason is being approached. Thank you all.